Let's ruin our lives.
Getting pissed at high tide, do it up like cyanide. Please don't revive. Let's ruin our lives. Some pills in acid, nails in my casket. That sounds romantic. To just ruin our lives.
それじゃあビデオ見てもらいます。寝んなよ。
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Ruin Our Lives. I am your host, Josh Hensley. And please hit the like and subscribe buttons before I end it all, and then you won't have a punk rock podcast to watch anymore. I'm just kidding. Joining me once again for her second time ever on the podcast, it is DJ, producer, radio host, Sharon Like. Welcome back, Sharon.
Hi. Thank you. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, as you know, I'm making a documentary on the Arizona punk rock scene. And
I love that.
yeah, it's going well. We're almost done with all the live band footage. We just got to get interviews and stuff. Quick little self-indulgent update here. The original bass player from JFA we're going to meet with soon. We're going to
Nice.
meet with one of the original drummers from Authority Zero and the son of one of the Kirkwoods from the Meat Puppets said they're
Gotcha.
down. So, gonna try to make it like a real thing. So anyways, I have a whole list of questions here about punk that I would like to pick your brain on. And
Go.
we'll just get right into it. What does punk rock mean to you?
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting question, right? There's more of an ethos to me than a genre, for sure, or even a movement. Because to me, it's more than one movement. I think there's like a DIY element.
Mm-hmm.
There's a working class element that I think you can't really skip over. I mean, asterisk on that is like maybe people with more money can come in after a thing is established. Sometimes like funding that gets the message out farther.
Sure.
But really like the root of it is working class culture and like creating a new working class culture that's oriented towards one's own community, I think.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So, like, in doing this documentary, I'm getting a lot of different answers. The one thread seems to be like an emphasis on individuality, and I'm getting a lot of people saying that like it doesn't matter what sort of beliefs you hold, that it's about being yourself, and sometimes it gets kind of confusing in their answers. But where I'm going this is that like it seems that punk has taken on almost like I don't want to say like a spiritual ethos quality, but it deeply means a lot to many people, you know? Like,
And I think it should. And I would on a personal level disagree that like your beliefs don't really matter. Like don't matter in any case. I think that there are a wide spectrum of beliefs that are acceptable, and also part of punk is we're listening to each other, right?
Right.
Nobody knows everything. But we can learn from each other and have like some diversity of opinions, but then there are other things. It's like being a Nazi is not punk.
Right. for
Sorry.
sure. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Nobody has said that, but they have said like you can be conservative and punk, and I want to like stop them and be like, oh, I don't know about that, you know.
I mean, the problem with that kind of thing is people don't necessarily always have the right words for their own beliefs.
Yeah, for sure.
And also sometimes just the names for things aren't perfect. But I would say like by the book conservative is not very punk, generally speaking.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Do you think that like, so like going off that idea that it's like it's so deeply rooted in people, right? Like you discover punk and your whole life has changed, hopefully forever, where it seems like a philosophy unto itself, like not just centered around art, but like the way one approaches like life.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's it's kind of interesting to think of how much one should integrate
Right.
being a punk into their life.
For sure.
Because
Yeah.
I wonder sometimes if having too many of these principles has been a detriment to me in some
Right.
ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think it is like kind of a holistic. It's not just about the parties that you're going to or the music
Right.
that you're listening to.
For sure. For sure. Well, that kind of leads to my next question: can a person age out of punk, or should
They shouldn't. They shouldn't.
Nice. For sure.
They often do.
Mm-hmm.
Or you know, that's when you start getting people who are like, punk can be conservative because they became conservative,
Right.
and they want to maintain that connection to, you know, their youth,
Right.
like the times when they were more aligned with the beliefs of other punks
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, are more power to the people kind of things.
Right. Definitely.
That was like a fun time in their lives maybe, and so as they age and their beliefs change, they want to reconcile that, where it's like punk can be what I am now, but that's not necessarily true, especially if there's like hate involved in somebody's belief
Right.
system.
Definitely. So it's like cognitive dissonance that.
I would say so, yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not really, shouldn't be that surprising to me that people are saying stuff like that, considering I'm in Arizona with its reputation, you know. But, you know, I mean, growing up in California, you're, I think, exposed to a lot more like leftist ideals than you are growing up here. You know what I mean?
I grew up in Orange County, so it was really
that's
conservative.
a good point. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I mean, I think I would have a little more tolerance in Arizona, you know, especially like in the Phoenix area or in like the cities.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Because some of it is about like class issues and just the ideas that you're raised with. It's really difficult to overcome beliefs, like outdated beliefs, for instance, that you're raised with. And that's something that I like. My parents were liberal.
Right.
I consider myself to be more left than liberal, but even with liberal parents, there are things that it's like, that's something I need to unlearn.
Right.
So depending on how far you get in that process, because there is like studying involved, even to understand the political spectrum, I understand why there are more people who are like, who would identify as like conservative or something in Arizona, just because it's really hard to go completely against the grain.
Yeah,
like to abandon your entire family, your entire community. And like, should that even happen?
Right. Yeah. It's scary.
We're in such a weird time. Yeah.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I want to ask you political questions, but I know you don't really want to, so I won't get into it.
I mean, as much as you'd like to, I'm fine with it.
I mean, just like, you know, I see a lot of people being like utterly shocked about like what's on the Epstein list and like the corruption and inherent like bigotry to the system. And for me, someone who grew up listening to punk, especially like bands like Dead Kennedys or Fugazi, Minutemen, very political music, and myself like having studied like religion and like world history, like it's not really new. You know
No.
what I mean? All this evil, it's like just the same stuff. It's just we were raised under this illusion of like freedom and peace and love. You know what I mean? So,
and it was comfortable to hide from some of these things.
Yeah,
because
sure.
they are just truly horrible. But yeah, you listen to the music and you start to get an idea, even outside of just like the genre of punk. There are things that I wouldn't have understood about politics, about society without music, like Bronski Beat, for instance.
Okay.
The second album by Bronski Beat is like really how I learned about AIDS, like what it was like to live in the beginning of like the AIDS crisis.
Yeah.
Because that's such emotional music. It imparts something that you can't get just by reading statistics
Right.
about or like an overview of what happened. It's like you when you listen to it, you have an emotional connection. You can feel the fear, you can feel the sadness, like the grief.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's where, music in general comes in handy, is actually communicating that we've been here before as like a civilization.
Right. For sure. Do you feel like music has been devalued, particularly in the last decade?
It's hard not to feel that way.
Right. I mean, you're a performing artist. It must. I'm sure, like, it must be more difficult now than ever, I would feel like.
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to find ways around feeling that way, because it really disincentivizes making music.
Right.
As like somebody who comes from like a more punk background, the reward for doing it, for making music, for performing music, isn't really like a financial success thing.
Right.
It's like it feels good to do it. It's like you're expressing yourself in a way that you need to, and you're putting your ideas out on showcase. So it's really discouraging when people aren't listening, or when they don't have an attention span to listen, when it feels like they almost can't.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty scary, actually. Bless you.
Yeah.
So what type of music is Ronsky Beat?
Like new wave synth pop.
Oh, okay, nice. And that came out in the 80s?
That came out in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
They had a different singer for the first album, which is also really great. And that's like the more famous one, that has a song called Small Town Boy on it that you'd probably recognize if you heard it.
Okay, nice.
But the second one is called Truth Dare Double Dare, and it's a different singer. I want to say like maybe 1985.
Okay.
And you can really tell that most of the album is about AIDS.
Okay, interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 85. So it was still sort of like, at that point...
85, 86 maybe? Yeah.
Okay, it was still sort of like an unknown thing across America, right? Or the world, AIDS. Like...
Yeah, just not in the gay community, because this is like...
Right.
This is happening actively, and people are ignoring it, which makes it scarier. So it's like, I think what's special about that album is it's kind of like an internal discussion in the gay community of like, this is what's happening, this is how we feel, this is terrifying, what do we do, before the rest of the world cares.
Wow, interesting. So does that band have their start in like underground punk, or?
No. This is a UK band.
Interesting.
And they were synth from the beginning, but what you see in the late 70s and early 80s in the UK is there is kind of a blending of genres, with electronic synth pop stuff and punk, and it's all like, a lot of it's coming from kind of the same place. Like Heaven 17 is like a really anti-fascist synth group that is a band that split off from the Human League. The Human League, even a much more popular band, even has some pretty serious political lyrics, because these bands were coming up in cities like Manchester and Sheffield, in the case of the last two, where they're playing alongside punk bands. There are punk bands playing everywhere while they're doing what they're doing. And just the political situation there, under Thatcher and the lead up to Thatcher, was so dire, which doesn't necessarily feel a lot different from what we're experiencing here in the US right now.
For sure.
Or even back in like the 80s. That's why we use like Dead Kennedys and Minutemen as a reference point, is because that early 80s period of time with Reagan was really mirroring what was happening with Thatcher in the UK.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Interesting. Yeah, So, okay, I'm just going to keep going because my mind doesn't work all the time. Can punk achieve mainstream success again? And should it?
Should it? I think like the gateway punk is kind of like a thing that maybe needs to exist.
Yeah.
If there's a pop punk, or whatever the modern day equivalent is, to pop punk that still comes from the right place.
Right.
And I think that's that's not necessarily a terrible thing if it's not
sure.
just based on like ripping off the sound of
Right.
things that have been successful before.
Totally.
And it's like the music actually matters to the people making it, then it's kind of fine if that's successful. I don't think
Yeah.
it's punk doesn't need it as much as like mainstream culture needs it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I like
Like
that. Yeah. We don't need you. You need us. Yeah.
Right.
I like that. Well,
And they do, don't they?
They really do. Yeah, for sure. I mean, more now than in my entire life. That's for sure.
Right.
What about bands like Turnstile and Wet Leg? Like I believe Wet Leg and Pussy Mannequin, weren't they at the Grammys or something like that? And I think Turnstile
Probably.
is pretty big now.
I'm really not that familiar with those. Like
Yeah.
Wet Leg I heard, and it's like I can tell what's going on here.
Right.
It's not the best version of what that kind of sound is, in my opinion. But
yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
because even there,
Go ahead. Sorry.
there are even other bands that are doing similar things now that I feel like are doing it in a less commercial way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely.
Where the sound is kind of similar. But
have you listened to Pussy Mannequin?
Mannequin Pussy, right?
Mannequin Pussy. That's it. Yeah.
Like a little bit, but it's not really my
Okay.
genre range as much.
Yeah. Okay. I think I've heard a couple songs.
It's like more. It's like a little more alt indie
Yeah, for sure.
kind of thing, right?
For sure. Yeah, I guess so. They've got
Which
some,
I'm not inherently opposed to. It's just
Right,
not
right.
as much my sound. Yeah.
No, I get that. Yeah, it kind of feels like everybody's like trying to do the Pixies, you know, like except Turnstile. They go from like hardcore to like what is basically like dance pop kind of, which is an
That's
interesting
cool.
combo. Yeah, they're okay, and I think they're pretty big actually. They've got some controversy, but I don't know, whatever. So,
I mean, yeah, it always depends on what the controversy is, right?
yeah, I think the ex-guitarist is suing them or something like that. I don't remember.
Is it like a money thing, probably?
Probably. Yeah, and I think maybe defamation. I'm not sure. How would you say punk differs from other ideologies about art?
I mean, some ideologies about art are really formalist, right? Like
right.
modernism is there are more rules in a lot of styles and schools of art.
Right.
And punk is more freeform. It like I was saying before, it kind of defies genre categories or including in the categories of like visual art that could be punk.
Right.
Much in the way that jazz does, for instance. Like if you see a jazz band in 2026, it doesn't have to sound like Duke Ellington. Right. It can kind of be whatever they want it to be.
Do you think that punk would tend to be like more widespread in its like experimentation with genres? Because like even with jazz, I feel like I do agree with you, but at the same time, it's like you hear jazz, and no matter what era, like you immediately recognize it as jazz. Whereas like if you put on Minor Threat, you're like, okay, that's a punk band, but then you put on like Fugazi, a lot of people would be like, that's not punk. You know what I mean? Because it's so...
That's interesting.
Yeah, I've seen people say that recently. Or let's use the Minutemen again as an example. Like, I could see people saying that that's not punk because it's not hard. You know what I mean? It's not distorted guitars.
Or even probably London Calling at this point.
Right, yeah.
So I tend to not pay attention to those people's opinions because I don't think they're very good.
That's smart. But... That just reminds me, I forgot to take my Lexapro. I don't know why that just reminded me of that. I'll be fine. I'll get it after.
Okay.
Okay, so sort of like you mentioned at the beginning, and you don't have to get too deep into whatever, but how has punk improved or damaged your life?
Right. Well, it's definitely improved my life. Like socially, politically, when I say politically, I mean morally. Like punk found me at an early age, and then through punk I developed my sense of morals and ethics that I have,
Yeah.
really to this day, which is, you know, some of the big themes are anti-racism,
Right.
anti-war,
Right.
you know, anti-bigotry in general. These are things that I either learned from punk or were like really cemented for me
Right.
via punk, and going through life with that sort of moral and ethical compass, I think has made life easier for me in terms of not feeling guilty about things,
Yeah.
or not like knowing, you know, subconsciously that I'm doing something really wrong, like working for a weapons manufacturer or something, you know what I mean? It's like just something that you're not going to do if you really believe what the music is telling you.
For sure.
The flip side of that is it's hard to find a source of income
Yes.
that doesn't feel like it's super evil.
Right. Yeah.
And also, I mean, there are like certain lifestyle things that I would rather not get like super into.
For sure.
That it's just like, why am I holding on to this?
Right.
But
Yeah, no, makes sense for sure. I mean, the amount of friends that I've lost in the punk scene is staggering, you know. But can you think of another art form that's so impactful on people's lives the way punk is? I mean, I guess I could say like hip hop, you know, but at this point it's been so co-opted into the mainstream,
Hip-hop.
you know.
yeah, hip hop. That's the thing though, is like these genres usually start somewhere and then end up somewhere else when they get co-opted
For sure.
by, you know, people with money. So like early hip hop, I would say, which isn't really my main one, just because like hip hop, even the early stuff that I do consider, you know, punk minded in a lot of ways, there's like misogyny and homophobia in there that I can't
That's true.
really hang with, and it's just not that fun for me to listen to. But acid house is like one of the big ones I can think of.
Okay.
That is really, it's minimal equipment, it's cheap equipment, it's doing a lot with a little bit of stuff. Like, you know, equipment wise, recording capabilities wise.
Right.
That feels really punk to me. More in my time, Blog House, which is like,
right. You were telling me about
yeah,
that. Yeah.
I mentioned it in the last time I was on this podcast, but where just like people are making music in their bedrooms and uploading it
Right.
onto blogs or SoundCloud or whatever, and that's like pretty punk to me.
It definitely is. Yeah, so I mean, I think like again, like it's okay. I'm gonna give you a hypothesis of mine. I feel like punk, or just that idea or that spirit of like DIY, but also sort of like rebellion against needing to follow the culture that is set out in front of you. I think that's ancient. You know what I mean? Like I think it's like the very first people who like stood up to the leaders of the tribe and were like, what you're doing is wrong, we're not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like the first people to start playing music and build fires and run around in circles around those fires. I think that would be like the formation of punk. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Even like people who would be classified as witches.
oh yeah, definitely.
For sure.
100%, for sure. Definitely. Sort of stumbled on my words there. Okay, who do you think was the first punk band? I hate that question.
Like, I have a poster of the New York Dolls there, but
Okay, yeah.
they came after the Stooges. Like the Stooges is
Right.
kind of where it starts.
Okay.
To me, like Iggy was doing a really punk thing
Yeah.
in the beginning, which is, people call it proto punk or whatever, but it's like, well, what's the difference after a certain point?
Right.
Because like the Ramones doesn't sound like whatever punk turned into anymore.
True.
in a lot of cases. So like you can always keep going farther and farther back. Like in some ways, like Cab Calloway's kind of punk too,
Okay.
but yeah, like probably the Stooges. I don't know.
Okay, for sure. What about Tom Lehrer? I know he's not a band, but he was.
I'm not familiar, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah, you'd probably love Tom Lehrer. It's very tongue in cheek. It's piano music, and it's very like ragtime, but he's singing about like World War III and like the masochism tango is one of his songs. It's very humor based, but like just incredibly intelligent. I think he wrote Istanbul, not Constantinople. I'm not sure.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
When would that have been?
Tom Lehrer, I want to say like all the footage is in black and white. So I want to say like the 40s, maybe the 50s. Yeah, he was great. He was a legend. I'd highly recommend.
I'll have to look
send
it
you
up.
some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Lehrer is awesome. We'll All Go Together When We Go is my favorite song to him. It's about atomic fallout. And like,
Scary, yeah. Awesome.
And it makes you laugh but like feel at the same time. And he's a really talented piano player and singer. We'll skip these Arizona questions here. Okay, so we know that punk doesn't have to stick to genre, but do you feel like punk has to be at least rock based, or can it take like a whole departure from that? Again, to use the Minutemen, that it's clearly rock music. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, I think like to slap a genre on your art and it's called punk. I don't know. Maybe maybe there should be a guitar in there somewhere in that in an album. But just as a word, like I don't think so. I mean, the whole genre thing is so difficult.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would prefer not to.
For sure. For sure.
Ever have to be classified.
Yeah, I
as
like that.
one genre or another, but sometimes it's just like it's a utility for people to find you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. No, very well said. Yeah, it's really it's just sort of like a marketing blanket, right? I mean, I can't think of a lot of country music that sort of defies convention anymore.
I think it's out there.
Yeah, it's got to be, right? I mean, in the super deep underground, there must be some out here in Arizona, you would think. I can think of like cowpunk.
There's cowpunk, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that basically? But you just mean like just straight ahead
like
country
real
music,
like outlaw country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the old Waylon Jennings would be a good example, I guess.
Somebody's doing it, right?
Yeah.
It's not in my sphere
For sure.
of knowledge.
I'm trying to think if I've ever even heard of a country show like being advertised in California or even Arizona, really.
They do happen.
Yeah, they've got it. What? Okay, anarchy. The concept.
Pardon me.
Oh, dude, no problem. Anarchy. The concept of no government. Does that really play a role in punk?
Symbol looks good on t-shirts.
That's for sure.
I don't know. I don't know.
Cool symbol.
Like the whole thing about like our systems of governance or lack there. What's the best way is there's so much that's theoretical,
Right.
and then we don't know in practice. It's scarier even now maybe than it ever has been in some ways, because we're so locked into our echo chamber. Not everybody, obviously, but at least I know I am locked into an echo chamber where my sphere of influence, or like what I can see, I have like these blinders on due to technology and social media that don't show me the way that other people are. Because I was talking to a friend and she has like realistically just like a more conservative group of friends. She knows a lot of different kinds of people that like I would realistically never interact with in my day-to-day. And then she was like kind of asking them if like the whole system collapsed, what would you do?
Right.
And she said they were saying like all of them were saying like commit crimes. It's like, well, what does that mean? You know, like stealing from a grocery store after the system collapses, that's like not even a crime to me.
Right.
But then it's like, wait, but what crimes?
Like murder?
And yeah, yeah.
That's scary.
So it's kind of scary, right? So it's like if that's what people's idea of anarchy is, then we at least need something in between. To get us there. So as far like it's a nice idea.
Right.
I think getting rid of like the biggest systems of power that generally operate through systems of oppression, that would be a good thing.
So money?
Money's a big part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think humans did live without money before. Do you think it's possible again? Or would that take the utter complete destruction of the world?
I'm not necessarily smart enough to have all the answers with this stuff, but then it's also like, well, wait, how does this keep working if people's jobs are all being automated out by AI and robots? Then how does the economy work?
Right.
I don't know.
They're just turning us all into slaves, I guess. Or like not it's like a different form of slavery. It's like it's like the Matrix. Like I hate that I used that analogy because it's
don't don't hate it because it's a smart movie, really.
Yeah, it is. It's a great movie, but you know what I mean. Like they're literally just like feeding off of us, and they want us to be these passive little dolls encapsulated in our our
batteries.
Holes. Yeah, like batteries. Yeah, that's scary. Okay,
horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. You know what? Okay, I'll ask this question. Is gatekeeping ever necessary?
What are your goals? Right. I mean, sometimes gatekeeping is a way. What does gatekeeping mean to you?
So I'll use goth as an example, I guess. Like, you know, like growing up, I got picked on for my goth phase or whatever. And again, it's not something that ever really leaves you. I identified with goth for a certain reason because my life was very dark, and I found like beauty in them. You know, the artists making beauty out of darkness or whatever. And then I just see people who, to me, seem like they're just playing dress up, you know, and like goth girl. Yeah, whatever, goth fashion,
right?
You know,
Or the fetishization of the look.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I find that really distasteful, and you know, I feel like I've been like programmed to hate the word, but like posers, you know what I mean? Like
they're posers.
It's like the definition of a poser, and you know, I see a lot of people online being like, it's just like with punk, like you cannot be conservative and goth because goth is punk, you know, it's just.
It's an offshoot.
Yeah. So
it's a romantic offshoot, I would say, of punk.
Yes, yeah. The very more beautiful, clean offshoot, if you will. You know. Not by clean I mean like nicer clothes. And maybe more hygiene
going necessarily like if you think of like what Bauhaus looked like in 1979, it's like maybe not. Or Susie, or you know, Susie just went straight from punk to doing what people called goth.
That's true. Yeah.
But it's, you know, that wasn't like a super clean aesthetic. What people dress up as now that they call goth, it's like
I guess but by clean I mean like you're not going to see goth kids hanging out in a dirt alley. You know what I mean? Usually in a group, but you will see punks like that. That I guess maybe that's my personal like upbringing or whatever, but
maybe they'd be hanging maybe not a dirt alley, but like in a cemetery.
Yeah,
which is that's a good point. How different is that, right?
True. Okay, this is totally.
But to answer the question about gatekeeping, I think a lot of the times, if it's like you have to dress this way to come to our nightclub, that's just classism,
right? For sure.
Because you can definitely be interested in the music and understand the culture like on a deep personal level without being able to afford clothes that
totally
match the thing. And also why are we sending people away? Because I've heard the argument that it's like, well, it keeps the riffraff out, like it keeps it safer, but like there are so many, at least in LA, like there are always rumors of like abuse and you know, assaults even in the goth community, somewhere in the goth community, and it's like those people are definitely dressed to the part, but they're still creeps.
For sure.
So I don't know how much that argument really works, that it's like you have to look this way and that means you're a safer person or something like that.
Right. Good point. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's really more about the mentality than anything. Yeah, and it is also very expensive. I just bought 2 pairs of creepers, and They are very expensive shoes,
Mm-hmm.
but very nice shoes, I gotta say. Um, okay. Let's see here. Do you feel like punk ever has sort of like a puritanical bent to it nowadays?
I don't spend enough time with people who self-identify as punks,
Okay.
probably now.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you say puritanical, are you like referring, or do you mean like regarding like sex,
What do I mean
like
by that?
like that topic? When you say puritanical, do you mean that in like a more general sense, or do you mean like specifically around like issues about sex and that sort of thing?
Not sex. So no, I don't mean towards sex. I guess I just mean sort of like. I guess really I just mean more like gatekeepy. I guess that like if you don't hold the exact same beliefs, therefore you can't fit in, therefore we're gonna ostracize you.
There's always going to be somebody that's like that.
Yeah.
I guess sometimes there are more of those people than in other times.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really speak to right now in LA, but
Right.
I would believe you if you told me that that was
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And it might be happening all around me, and I just don't know because I'm not going to punk shows as much anymore.
For sure. No, I would say that that would be the minority of the situation. What about okay? So something that has struck me while doing this documentary, I'm finally getting out to shows again after 10 years away, and seeing a lot of bands, and like three of the performers had said like, "Hey, if you guys are struggling, like reach out to us. We're there for you." Which cool for them. That's great. You know what I mean? I wish I had heard stuff like that when I was a kid. I definitely never heard anything like that when I was a kid, but like it it kind of seems like there might be this like weird like don't you think that's kind of a weird thing for a band to offer to an audience? Like hit us up on social media if you're struggling. Like what makes them want to be in that place and like
I understand the compassion behind that.
yeah.
If it's legitimate, like I do understand the empathetic desire for people to be at least well, if not happy.
Yeah.
And I think mental health is such a like a precarious place like across the board in the US right now that it's it would be naive to think that there aren't people struggling.
Right.
So at least getting them to resources is like it depends on how difficult it is for you as on a personal level for you to put yourself in that position, because like if I were to say that on stage, all I could really do is like maybe have a little conversation and then send some resources.
Right.
Like not financial resources by any means, but like here are the phone numbers to call, here are the websites to go to, that sort of thing.
I like that.
I think it's a nice thing to do if it's honest,
Right.
but it has to be honest because otherwise it's what are you doing, right? If you're not really going to pay attention to the people who do reach out.
I guess my mind likes to like I guess I'm trying to find a word other than punk that defines punk. Like I guess my mind likes to put things into boxes so I can examine it inside that box and then open it up and spread it. Does that make sense? So I'm trying to find. Okay, I don't know if I told you this last time, but a very long time ago, when I first started going to punk shows out here, when I was probably like, I don't know, I was probably like 23, 24. I was at a show, in like just a tiny little room in downtown Phoenix, right? It was, I don't even know what it was. It was just attached to another building. Anyways, very cool. Saw a really cool band called the Teats. It was like a female band, 5 people female band, and they had this guy like introduce them. I don't know who he was or what his role was with the band, but he just went on this rant, hyping up the band, getting the audience hyped, and he said punk is an adjective, and that just has always stuck with me.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree.
Yeah, for sure. An adjective being a descriptor word, right? Something that describes a noun or whatever, or an idea, I guess. And yeah, that just always like stuck with me. Like punk is just the heaviness that comes with that word. You know, I feel like the average person would be like, oh, a punk is like a bitch or whatever, or like a bad person, or like a coward. You know what I mean? But to us, it means like the complete opposite. It sort of means like a good person who has like high values and wants to see their community thrive and their friends
Right.
live well.
And they care about justice,
Yeah,
ideally.
totally. Yeah. I don't know, it's just very interesting to me. Okay. Okay, so we've sort of established here that punk it's more than a movement, or it's different from a movement, and it's definitely a culture, but it sort of extends beyond culture. So I've been familiar with what the Dada art movement was for a while now, but I've like rediscovered it, I guess, recently. For those who don't know, Dada was a form of art in the 1920s that totally rebelled against like the mainstream version of art. It was punk before what we call punk. It was anti-art in a sense and anti-war, and a lot of the early punk like images and visuals took from the Dada movement, like dot lettering and like stencils and stuff like that, or whatever. I'm not really describing it that well, but this idea of like it's like relativism or postmodernism, right? Like it's an ethos that kind of doesn't have one ethos to it. Does that make sense?
It's like a nonconformist concept, like a concept of being nonconformist that it expresses itself. There's a wide range of things. There's a lot of freedom in nonconformity, in Dada or punk, or like post-structuralism or something. Like the nonconformity and the counterculturalism are things that do seem like really aligned with like punk as an adjective.
Right, for sure. But also like sort of like sticking it to the man, if you will, right? A rebellion against undue authority.
And sometimes that is the point of being nonconformist. Is
right.
I mean, there's like the expression that you do naturally, and then there are the things that you design as a statement against authority.
Right. I don't know. Isn't it just fascinating? It's kind of fascinating, just like what punk has become. Because I don't think the original bands or whatever, like the bands that people call like the first bands, let's say like the Ramones or like Blondie or the Sex Pistols. I mean, the Sex Pistols just sought really
interesting, to
annoy. you know.
Well, and they actually were like designed. They were manufactured essentially by Malcolm McLaren. So
definitely. Yeah. For sure. Like, I don't think that they were really out to change the world, like, in a political or communal sense. You know what I mean? They all wanted to be successful. And, yeah. What do you think sparked that change? Do you think it was hardcore?
Sparked which change?
Like, the change into punk being, like, more of the working class people, of, like, it becoming, like, a culture unto itself. Do you think that?
Pardon me.
Yeah.
I would say that was definitely built in. That was largely built in from the beginning. Like, I don't know as much as I could about the Sex Pistols, other than they were kind of put together by a guy named Malcolm McLaren who thought of them as more of a boy band, but realistically they were from a working class background. True. Definitely the Damned, the Damned was releasing music before the Sex Pistols.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Which they would be kind of actually like the first true punk band to me.
Okay.
Even though like I feel like the Stooges, it's more like the punk as an adjective. Maybe starts with the Stooges for me, but like punk as a genre starts with the Damned rather than the Sex Pistols. So I think, and then the Clash were
True.
the most important to me in terms of like representing the working class in an authentic way. I think I don't think that the point of the Clash was just success.
True. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
There is a phenomenon though, that I listened to a podcast called The Best Show, and they were doing talking about a book that was like an oral history of metal, or was it just hair metal? I don't remember, but either way, it's like I don't really listen to hair metal. It's not my thing, but there was kind of like a working class foundation for hair metal too. And the thing is, when you have people who have set themselves up in a way that it's like, I have to be a musician and there's no safety net here. Like this has to work. You can be a janitor on the side or whatever, but like there's no other option here. After a certain point, you're like alienated away from society enough that success becomes important.
Right.
Not necessarily just because you're lusting after it, but because that's your career pathway.
For survival.
For survival.
Yeah.
Which I think, I'd at least like to think that that's something that is happening with the Clash, where they really do want to represent working people, and they do want to make a change that benefits the world. And that's why they speak to the issues they speak to.
Right. So, okay. Then, okay. I sort of forgot about the Clash. so let's say that is a case, and it is a case. Then that would sort of be a continuation of like the so-called hippie spirit, right? Kind of, or at least in the sense of,
though they didn't necessarily
music.
feel as aligned with, and it's because I think the hippie movement saw a co-opting.
Yes, very
pretty early on. Yeah,
right away. Yeah, for sure. And so
it took longer for punk to start to get bubblegum.
That's true. Yeah, I would say it took like 10 years at least. Or
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
Probably more. I mean, if you're going with like radio success, Nirvana.
What is it? Nirvana and like Green Day.
Yeah. Nirvana, Green Day, Rancid.
Where it's not classified as grunge,
Right. You know what's really crazy is the lasting influence of Nirvana and Kurt Cobain. I have nothing against Nirvana and Kurt Cobain. Some of my favorite music. I love Nirvana. They're a great band. But to still see like young kids like 18, 19, 20, 21 still worship Nirvana the way I did, and the way people 10 years before me did. Like when they were kids, it's just like, when is that gonna stop? Like
maybe never. Yeah.
I know, but like, why him? Like
it got a cultural foothold, and people saw Kurt Cobain as really sensitive, and I think realistically he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Things, in order to really take off, things have to just check all of these little boxes of like, it can't go past this line, it can't go past this other line. And if you're just right within those parameters, like if you're maxing out everything within those parameters, you're just going to be the most successful one that is like the most relatable and acceptable for a long period of time. I think it's kind of dumb luck in some ways.
Right. Yeah. So do you think he killed himself?
I have no idea, but if there were evidence to prove that he didn't, I would believe it potentially.
For sure. Okay, I'll ask you just. So I want to ask about your new album coming out. I'll ask you one more thing about punk. Has it ever influenced your diet?
It's interesting. I'm not a vegan or anything. Yeah. I wish I were. I think that like being punk and vegan is cool.
Right.
Yeah. On a personal level, like being a punk has influenced my diet, in like being a punk has made me poorer potentially than I would be otherwise. And so yeah, when you can't really afford food that you don't buy at the 99-cent store, or Der Wiener Schnitzel or something, then like it affects your diet in that way, but not in not in terms of like the morality of eating whatever I'm eating.
For sure. I lived in, I guess, what you could consider to be a punk house in Pedro, and like all of my roommates worked at Whole Foods. It was before the Amazon merger or whatever, and that influenced the way I eat. For sure, made me realize I need to eat a lot healthier. And it was also really annoying hearing everybody talk about Whole Foods all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ideally, you'd be able to shoplift, right?
It never happened. I think I interviewed at Whole Foods twice actually, and both time I felt like judged and like I wasn't qualified enough to work at their grocery store. Having worked at other grocery stores, it's
yeah, stupid. I mean, it makes
whatever.
sense that they were acquired by Amazon, right? It was probably before that, but like,
yeah.
but it makes sense, right?
It does make
just
sense.
Like, of course,
Yeah,
of course.
exactly. Okay. Well, okay. So thank you so much for answering those questions. Punk is a beautiful, almost baffling thing, I would say. It's really, it's like an anomaly, but not an anomaly. I don't know. It's just I don't know. Doing this documentary really makes me look at it in like a new light, and like how it's lasting influence upon people, and how it's such a sort of like natural way of being. You know, like.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's beautiful, but also like it's kind of like overwhelming at times. I don't know. Anyways, Sharon, like
I will say one more thing on that.
Yes,
There's a dude who runs a store called Future Music on York in Highland Park, named Jack. I don't remember his last name off the top of my head, but he was in a band called Green on Red back in the day. More recently, when I was talking to him, he was playing with like hip hop artist, and then he was saying like it took him a minute to like figure out what was going on there, but it's just like the same thing. It's the people taking it back is how he described it. It's like the people taking it back, and I was like, that's a pretty good,
for sure.
That's a pretty good like short and sweet
Totally,
way to describe.
Totally agree with that. I've always looked at punk and hip hop as like two sides of the same coin or whatever, like twin flames. You know, I mean, they started at basically around the same exact times from the streets by normal working class people, or maybe not normal people, but okay. So you're working on an album.
Yeah, I decided it's called Never Mind the Likes, Here's the Sharon Pistols.
Nice. Keeping in, okay, so you got the punk roots.
Kind of dumb, but yeah, it's just like, there you go. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Here's the first one.
That's really funny. What made you decide that then?
I don't know. It's just like it's a foundation, right?
Yeah,
it's a foundation, and it's gonna end up being imperfect in some ways, just like that album is. I don't go back to, when I say that album, I mean Never Mind the Bollocks, Here's the Sex Pistols. Right. For anybody listening who didn't know that, but like I don't go back to that album that much necessarily, but I would be lying if I said it wasn't important to me.
For sure. Oh, it's a fantastic
or
album.
important in my development. So just like that album was important to my development, maybe this one will be as well.
Will this be your first full album? Okay, nice.
First real one. Right. Yeah, like I've released like a compilation of like improvised stuff before, but this is going to be the first long playing album that I've ever made or released.
So what are you doing on this album that's different from the prior stuff?
I mean, I've done so many different kinds of music over the years. And what I'm doing here is really trying to synthesize all of my influences, all of my ideas, you know, all of the genre weirdness that I'm interested in, and just trying to condense it into a coherent document, which is like not something I've really tried to do before because it's really hard.
For sure. Will there be like a theme to it?
That's an interesting question. I haven't really thought. It's just the idea is I'm working from material that I have recorded over at least like 5 or 6 years, I think,
Yeah,
mostly. And these are just like incomplete ideas where I just like recorded a lot of material, but they aren't built into songs. And that's been my process for a long time. It's kind of like a lot of stopping and starting. But now that enough time has passed, I'm kind of picking out the ideas that seem relevant to this moment in history. So if there's like a theme, it's just like right now, but it's right now through the lens of like me writing about things 4 or 5 years ago or something, or 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And you are singing, right?
I'm singing. Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to be playing like what instruments are you utilizing? Are you going to be playing guitar?
Everything. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah,
like
everything.
I don't have any collaborators
Oh, okay. Nice.
right now. Like I would love, there are people I would love to reach out to for a collaboration, but I even had some ideas, and I'm not going to say the names because these are like relationships that I want to keep, but
For sure.
it's getting kind of to the point where it's like I think I just need to do this one by myself, and it's going to be what it is, and that's okay. And then the next one, I'll try to work with people, and I'm sure I'll learn so much through the process, not just of making an album, but releasing it and figuring out what to do with the in the weeds stuff, like publishing and distribution is a real pain, kind of, and that's why people get record labels, and I have my own, so that means I don't have one functionally. And I have to do everything myself, but it's good to do that, and I just don't want to make it messy by involving people that are going to require a percentage that I have to then pay out quarterly or annually or something like that. It really complicates things.
Yes, it does, for sure. Yeah.
But for that reason, I have to play everything myself. I have to do everything myself, and it's a lot of work, and I'm not really that good at playing any instruments. Like I'm maybe a little faster on guitar than anything else, like in a chords way. Like I can't really play lead well. But I really barely, I'm decent on bass, but I barely play instruments. But I just have to do it enough to get it tracked into the computer.
Right. For sure.
And sometimes I'll just like record like really, really long takes and then take out like a little snippet from somewhere in the middle of like a 20-minute take or something.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure.
Whatever works, however you get there, right?
That's what I was to say. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen you play guitar. You're good.
Oh, thank you.
My little piece of advice, for whatever it's worth, for like lead, just watch a lot of live guitar and see what they're doing. And
that's a good tip.
Something that I learned while playing a lot of music, 10 years ago, was like,
you're a great guitarist, by the way. I remember.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Like, something that may look like a trick may actually be like a really important technique to the sound that you're playing. So my example for that would be like, when a guitarist does this, they spin their arm around in a circle. Like sometimes that would actually come in like really, really necessary in order to fit the change that I was doing in the song. You know what I mean? Especially if you're like switching from lead to like rhythm real quick, or like switching keys, or like you're going from a really fast strumming to like a different type of complicated strumming. Like I would find myself doing that and being like, what kind of jackass am I? But then like, wow, that actually, it worked. And it helped me pull it off. So like, don't be afraid to experiment with all the different techniques. You know what I mean? And like, it's always good to learn scales and arpeggios or whatever.
That's true.
What movie was that? The Aristocats. You remember that? You must learn your scales.
Aristocats. Yeah, that was my favorite Disney movie.
Oh, really? It's so dark.
I haven't seen it for a long time, but I love cats, and I guess it is dark because like, what is he trying to kill he's trying to kill the cats to get there, because she's like there's like a crazy lady who is gonna give all of her money to the cats when she dies, and then like the butler is like, wait, I want that money.
That is right.
So then he tries to murder the cats, but I mean, spoiler,
Right.
things work out okay.
Yeah, for sure. It is a great movie. I feel like it's an underrated
For the most
classic.
part, minus
Yeah.
like the racist stuff.
Right, that's just kind of like old school Disney for sure.
Par
Yeah.
for the course.
Yeah, I mean, they on Disney Plus. I don't subscribe to it anymore, but they put like disclaimers, like this movie or feature has outdated ideas and concepts, so like be aware of that. So at least they're doing that. But
At least, yeah, I don't know.
so how many songs are we looking at on this album?
Probably about 8.
Okay, 8. Okay, what? So
If I write
yeah.
something new that I'm attached to and I feel like it fits in the record, then I'll put it in.
8 is good for sure.
I'm shooting for 8.
It's good. And so, okay, so are you looking to do? So this will be your first real debut album or whatever. Are you looking to do like what are your thoughts on like so-called pop sensibilities, like verse, chorus, verse? Or
I mean, it's happening, like pop sensibilities in in the way that, like, you know, punk or post-punk music it follows those
Right.
kinds of structures. Like, I'm doing my best to make it accessible in that regard. I could go more there will be experimental moments,
Right.
but right now I'm challenging myself to write songs in a more traditional structure because I've spent like the whole rest of the time
Right.
in my life just doing weird experimental shit.
for sure. Yeah, no, nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, look at like the Pixies. You know what I mean, it's very verse, chorus, verse, but at the same time, like wild timing and whatnot. I've always loved pop sensibilities in experimental music. I think it's great. Okay, so you're doing it all yourself. You're producing it yourself. You're going to release it yourself. Are you going to plan to like tour with it?
That's the thing I don't know at all. Like, touring seems like an insane prospect
Yeah.
to me as a trans person right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like for anything, even for DJing, which is like where I make my money.
Right.
It's really like the idea of going into an airport, going to another airport in a different state, and, you know, finding my way through is really scary. I've done a lot of it in the past, not for music, but just for work. But it just feels so different now.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. I mean, I could see myself if there were a demand for it, if there were enough money to like cover, like at least break even.
Right.
Go to like New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Portland,
Right. For sure.
those kinds of places.
For sure.
Where I don't really have to necessarily worry about the laws as much, but which sucks. Like, I feel
does
bad.
suck. Yeah,
I feel
I'm
bad
sorry.
about that.
That
I wish I could
sucks.
go to other places where, but also I don't even know how I'm going to perform this music live as one person doing everything. I would have to get a band together or just do playback and sing the songs, which is not the end of the world.
Right.
But yeah, it's all to be determined.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, sorry that the world is like this. I don't like it.
It's okay. It's not your fault. Yeah.
I don't like it either. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Let me see if I have any more questions about the album. So you're looking at a release in August.
Yeah, I was shooting for August.
Okay.
If I can get it done before August, then maybe I will. But I really don't want to go after that. I needed to make a deadline for myself that mattered to me.
For sure.
So August was going to be that time.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so that will be available on like Bandcamp, SoundCloud.
At the very least, Bandcamp. Yeah, lately I've been releasing everything through Bandcamp, and like I am legitimately struggling with the ethics of releasing on Spotify or any of the streamers. There's a chance I'll put it on everything but Spotify.
Right.
As far as streaming goes, I don't really know yet. It does bother me thinking about it, because I've thought, you know, I would be further ahead potentially if my music were more available, and that, that might be the compromise too, is
Right.
putting my music up on Spotify so that people can find it, in other parts of the country or other parts of the world that wouldn't,
Yeah, it's true.
they're not going to bump into it otherwise. If I can't tour to those places or whatever, at least maybe the music should be accessible, but that's something I just have to figure out.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
they say, like there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, right? So
Right.
in a way, you're sort of like using the system. I don't know, that does suck. That is a difficult decision. I put our
It's
stuff
tricky.
on Spotify finally, and I kind of want to take it off, but at the same time, it's like it's such a popular platform. And you know what's weird is somebody in Hong Kong downloads our stuff.
See, that's so cool.
Yeah, they're like our second biggest market on Apple podcasts.
Wow.
Whatever. Yeah, I mean it's literally one person.
But so,
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's very cool. I wonder who they are. You know what I mean? So if it's
Right.
you and you're listening to this, thank you so much, and please,
thank you.
yeah, leave
Keep
a comment. Hit us up. I'll send you some stickers. Can I recommend a band to you? I
Sure.
don't think I did last time. They're called Creeping Embers. They're
Okay.
they're a self-described theatrical queercore band from Brighton, England, Brighton and Hove, England, and I'm really suggesting them to you because they're fucking wildly good. They take like this post-punk goth direction in this really unique way, and I would love to see them blow up. I guess Brighton in England is like a super artistic, like punk rock based city, and sort of like the San Pedro, except better, or whatever, in England. So I wanted to give them a shout out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Creeping Embers, you said?
Yeah, Creeping Embers, very good. Yeah, their singer Lucian was on one of the episodes not that long ago. So yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Is there anything else you would like to share or tell people where to find
I want to recommend a band
Oh, yeah.
from Brighton.
Okay, oh nice.
They're called Proper Monday Number. They released an EP last year.
Okay.
It's electronic. It's really fantastic. Like the whole EP is like 15 minutes long, so you do have time for it.
Nice.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not like
for
a huge investment. It's all very listenable.
Right.
But it's just great. Like lyrically, it's fantastic. The sound is fantastic.
Awesome.
Cannot recommend enough. Proper Monday Number.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, Brighton seems like a super interesting place. Like
Seems cool.
Yeah, a lot of really cool bands are coming out of there. Okay, well Sharon, thank you so much. I can't wait for your album.
Thank you.
Thanks for putting up
At
with my
Sharon Like on Instagram.
That's right. And thanks for putting up with my silly punk rantings or whatever.
Oh no, by all means, I like it.
Yeah. So everybody, thank you again for listening. Please hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I know you're watching. Leave a comment, please. It helps everything. Helps us grow as a channel, and of course, watch all the other podcasts on this network as well, and be on the lookout for my documentary on the Arizona punk scene. So that being said, everybody remember punk is an adjective, and just don't be dicks. Mahalo.
I know, but I'd rather be blind in heaven than sighted in hell.
Just on the bandwagon, 'cause you are betting. You wanna be
Let's ruin our lives.